So, welcome to the second session of the semester. My name is Aruna Chidiyaka. I'm the co-chair of the FRISEL competition for the year 2014-2015. This is my co-chair, Jason Charrett. And in front of us, we have the vice chair of the Moot Court Association, that's Veronica Brzgaki in the middle. We have Alicia and Rebecca, also Moot Court members, and we love them very much for being here today. Thank you guys so much for taking time to come and attend this info session. I know it wasn't mandatory, but I think there are a lot of little useful tips and information that you can take back with you that could be very helpful in making your decision whether to do Moot Court or not.
And just to start real quick, if you have a question at any time during the presentation, feel free to interrupt us. We're here to answer your questions, all questions. So don't worry if we're talking, just let us know if you have a question and we'll do our best to answer it.
Great. So what is the Moot Court Association? We are the largest student-run Moot Court association, and at New York Law School we hold the position of, it's unlike law review, our organization holds a very important position because we do two things. We comprise both of legal research and writing because we are heavily focused on the brief writing process, not just for our own members, but for competitions as well. And the second portion of the organization is oral advocacy. And I know how many 1Ls in this room? Okay, great. So after you've probably just finished your 1L oral arguments or about to finish your 1L oral arguments, and you know what the process is like. You've either walked away trembling, covered in sweat, or you walked away being like, damn, I did a good job. And that is the feeling we inculcate every single day when we walk into the Moot Court office. You're walking into a family of people who are present just to train you for these competitions and make you feel that way after every single moot that you go into and walk away from. It's co-curricular in the sense that we have credits. Unlike other organizations on campus, there are only 3 organizations that give you credit for your participation. DRT is one, Law Review is the other, and Moot Court. So Jason, you want to talk about the credits?
So if you so just to start, the process is that we're going to have these info sessions, which you've all attended. It's excellent. We're going to have moot camps over the summer, and then the FRISEL competition. If you make it onto the team, you get 1 credit per semester for each semester that you're a member. And if you get elected to the executive board, you get 2 credits per semester, and you have 4 in a year. So it's an easy way to not only do something that you really enjoy, but also get credits towards finishing school and maybe taking 1 less class.
An example of some of the competitions that we go to, and these are some competitions we always send our students to, are the George Washington University National Religious Freedom Competition. We go to national competitions in Charleston, the NYU Immigration Law Competition. We also host 2 competitions. So FRISEL is the competition all of you are going to take part in this fall. And Wagner is the National Labor and Employment Law competition that we host in the spring. Now, we don't take part in that competition, but 100 schools from around the country, this year I think it was 86, around the country come to New York to take part in this competition that we host.
And the real great part about Moot Court is that you're able to round out your knowledge. So you can, we have competitions that deal with intellectual property law, entertainment law, criminal law, civil procedure, constitutional law is a big deal. So you're really, and while you're at Moot Court, while you're in the office talking with your friend, you learn all of these topics by just simply mooting them, by asking them questions, by learning their fact pattern. So it's an amazing way to round out your knowledge of the law without taking a class or devoting serious time to it. I know myself, this past semester I went to Greensboro, North Carolina to do a con law issue that was similar to the Hobby Lobby case that was just heard by the Supreme Court, dealing with corporations, whether they can assert the religious exercise, and it was a great way for me to learn all about a topic that I would have never ever learned about in school. So it's a really great way to not only increase your writing skills and your oral advocacy skills, but just your general knowledge of the law.
Which brings me to what can Moot Court do for you and what sets us apart from any other organization on campus. Like I mentioned previously, we do emphasize on helping you, refine your brief writing skills. I've personally felt, and I know we share this opinion, that when you come out of LP, it's a sprint. They throw a brief at you in your second semester and you think you know everything. And I look back at my 1L brief and I literally want to throw it out the window because it's so embarrassing to look at. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way. So we teach you to build on those skills. I'm not saying that what you learned in LP is wrong, far from it. It lays the foundation. But when you have a group of students and you have class, camp, so to speak, to help you build on brief writing skills, an employer who looks at your resume and says, Moot Court knows two things off the bat. He or she knows that this applicant knows how to write a brief and has written brief for national Moot Court competitions. And secondly, he or she has argued this brief in front of a panel of practitioners and judges and has been successfully able to be persuasive on his or her own position. And that's something that Moot Court definitely helps build. Also, all the judges, all the competitions that you go to, all the moots, the alumni that are in and out of the office, the professors who stop by, these are great opportunities for you guys to network. Personally, I'm on a first-name basis with at least 12 professors in this law school. I know a ton of judges who I met during Frisell, during Wagner, during your moots. And when you have, an open-door policy where these judges, practitioners, lawyers are coming in to discuss with other students, grab a chair, sit down, take out a piece of paper, introduce yourself. And that's what Moot Court inspires you to do because it gives you the confidence to be able to network with other practitioners, lawyers, and judges and gives you a venue to do so.
And just touching more on the writing and the oral advocacy, what's really great about Moot Court is that if you make it onto the team, the first thing we do is sign you up with a mentor. So immediately you have someone that is going to be there to help you with brief writing, with oral advocacy the entire time. And the mentor is not anywhere close to the only person. Everyone on Moot Court is more than willing to help you. Everyone devotes serious time to reviewing briefs, to standing there all hours of the night and mooting people, not only because we like it and we find it to be enjoyable, because we want everyone to be better at what they do, so in turn they'll make us better. And that's really what pushes our organization to do so well in Moot Court competitions that we send our students to.
And I think that brings me to the last point, which is when you have a group of students who are as committed to, working on your own skills as well as the skills of your other members, that fosters this degree of kinship almost, that we're okay coming on a Sunday to moot for 2 hours in the morning, then have Rebecca teach us salsa in the afternoon, and then go back to grabbing a drink at the tavern, and then go back to mooting. And I know I can look around at this organization and I'm like, every single one of you guys are my friends. And I know if I were to call you on a Saturday night at 9 o'clock, I'm like, please help me just put in 2 moots because my competition's on Monday. I know that things will be dropped to help the organization better. So you guys are here at the Charles W. Frisell competition. This is the 38th year that we've been running this competition. And let me tell you, when you come out of this, you are going to feel like you've just gone through a trial by fire, but you're going to feel so good having gone through what you've just gone through. It's a badge of honor to go through Frisell and be there standing and saying, I'm a member of Moot Court. We use this competition to recruit new members, and as you know, even if you are on PLA or CCP, come talk to us and we can advise you as to how this might or may not impinge on your schedule. Personally, I'm the president of DRT and I'm the co-chair for Frisell. Jason is the vice president of DRT and co-chair for Frisell. We have Alicia here, who's at 2 centers and doing 2 clinics, all financial law related. Rebecca is on LALSA, which is the Latin American Students Association. Veronica, who's the vice chair and has a lot to deal with herself, is also doing an intensive clinic at the Manhattan Prosecution's Office. So my point being is, I know you all have a lot going on and you have a lot of ambitions to do clinics, externships, and other organizations. Moot Court does not have to be either or. You can do it all. And I think if you talk to people from our association, you'll see there are kids on law review, kids on Moot Court, kids on law review, kids on DRT. It's possible.
So this is basically how you get on the team. The Purcell competition is our way of putting you to the test and seeing who we think will make our organization the best that it can be, and who we want to represent our school at other schools during their competitions. So to start, you all attended the info session. That's excellent. You signed up. Well, from now on, every email that we send out, you will know everything, every piece of information that involves Moot Court. Next, we're holding 2 Moot camps over the summer. Now, these are really to help you get ready for the Purcell competition. The first one is run by ourselves and the executive editors of Moot Court, which is all about brief writing. So a lot of people, and I was included in this as well, I did not do well on my briefs in LP. It was not a strong point of mine, but I went to this Moot camp. I looked at what they did. I tried to follow, and I did the best job I could. And when I made it on, I worked with my mentor really hard to strengthen my writing to get it even better than it already was. And the second Moot Court, the Moot camp, is oral advocacy. So we want to make sure that you get as much chance to give an oral argument, so that you're not nervous or that you don't stumble when you get up in Purcell, because we want you to be the best you are, so that we are able to see you at your peak and pick the people who are really the best.
We've also put Moot Camp 1 and Moot Camp 2 on the weekends, and it's only a few hours. I'm talking like 11 to 1. Breakfast and lunch will be provided. It's also recorded in case you can't make it. And Moot Camp 1, one of the best things about it was the executive editors gave out a manual. It was like a dummy's guide to writing a brief, and it broke everything down. And I still use that manual as my quick go-to. Instead of opening up Blue Book, that's the manual I use. And on Moot Camp 2, I remember last year the e-board gave us an example of here's what a good argument looks like and broke it down as to why, and here's what a bad argument looks like and broke that down. And they use the criteria that the judges you're going to be standing in front of are going to use. So I think I'd strongly urge you to go to Moot Camp 1 and 2, or if not, watch the recorded sessions.
Absolutely. Well, everything Aruda says is true. Both camps are really helpful. They're a great way to get yourself prepared, because the Purcell competition is daunting. It is 5 days long. You are arguing for both sides. You are arguing both issues. It is a way to get you prepared for something like this, because everyone in here, or most of you, have experienced your LP oral argument. Now that's one argument on one side on one issue. That's something, this is a completely different ball game, and we want to make sure that everyone's on top of it. So after Moot Camp 2, we'll release a fact pattern. Now, you and your partner will have about a little more than a month to write your brief. We will give you all the rules. You will make sure that your brief complies with all the rules. And we'll give you, the fact pattern will give you all the case law. So Purcell is normally on a First Amendment issue because New York Law School doesn't teach First Amendment in their constitutional law classes. Now, while the school does give First Amendment classes, it doesn't teach it in common law. So we like to get the First Amendment out there a little bit in the issues so that everyone starts to get involved with the First Amendment. And we'll provide you the cases, we provide you our particular input, and it's up to you to read those cases to get more input out of it. But that is really where you'll get your information from. Also, we encourage you to pick a partner. Now, if you don't have a partner, that's completely fine. We will pair you up with we will pair you randomly. If you have someone that you don't want to be paired with, you can tell us. That'll all be confidential. but we do encourage you to pick a partner. It just might make it a little bit easier on the brief writing part. But when it comes to the oral argument, after the first 2 preliminary rounds in Frisell, you are on your own. And even in the first 2 rounds, well, you would be arguing with your partner, but your score is on your own. Every oral argument score is independent to that individual. So you don't need to worry that, you don't need to make sure that your you should be practicing with your partner, making sure that they're up to speed, but know that we're aware of individuals who do particularly well, and those individuals will move on, and it could be discretionary picks in the after the competition.
And just, that's a natural segue as to who gets picked and who doesn't. Typically, it's the top 16 who make it are extended an invitation to join the Moot Court Association. However, during the process of the competition, eBoard walks around and we talk to judges and we talk to the timekeepers who are our eyes in the room. And they tell us there are particular individuals who didn't make top 16, maybe in round 1 to round 5, who were truly outstanding. And these individuals are also given invitations to join Moot Court. And so we have 20 invitations that go out, and they're equal. 10 could be not top 16, 10 could. Even those who do make top 16, we have an example this past year of a student who made top 16. However, she rubbed shoulders the wrong way with her competitors and with the judges, and she wasn't professional. And so even though she was top 16, an invitation sadly was not extended. So it's not a hard and fast rule. It is up to the discretion of the people judging, and individual performance is highly evaluated.
Which also brings to the point that professionalism is really, really important. At all times, you should know that you're being watched. At all times, you should understand that. No, during the competition. I'm not talking about it. When even during your rounds, you obviously know that judges are grading you, that individuals may be on Moot Court may be timekeeping you, but you should know that when you get out, when you're walking around the hallways, that people on Moot Court will see this. They will judge you based on your professionalism, and it is why you should hold yourself to the highest level of professionalism at all times, not just when you're in the room arguing.
And just to clarify what Jason said earlier, I know he said, Frisell's 5 days and it's daunting, and I agree, it can be daunting, but I won Frisell last year, and Jason was also very, very strongly graded, and as was everyone else. But can I just say, those 5 days are so much fun, and they fly by like crazy. You are going to have so much fun. You're going to see a bunch of kids in the hallways, everyone with worry lines, furiously writing down their roadmaps. And there's, the sense that you're actually doing something that's competitive, challenging, fun, and that basically is Moot Court. And that gives you the first taste of what this association stands for. So yeah, it's daunting, but it's also equally a lot of fun. And we're always here to flag us down if you have any questions or concerns during Frisell. Just come up to one of us, and we'll be happy to help you with any questions or concerns.
Just to clear up a little bit on what we can help you with, when it deals with Frisell, we are not allowed to mooch you or help you write your brief. No one on Moot Court is allowed to do that, and there are particular rules to what you can do in your brief. Now, you are free to have anyone mooch you. That is not us, and we highly encourage that because mooting is really what makes you good. And I know that when and believe me, it's happened to me a million times. You're writing your roadmap, and you're like, "This is perfect. I have all the points right here, an answer to every question." And then one judge who you could never imagine brings up a question that you're just like, "Where did this come from?" Those are the questions that really impress people. Answers to those questions are what catches people's eyes. And honestly, even if you're mooting with someone who doesn't know the law, who's not a law student, general common sense is more than enough to get an adequate moot in. To just not only hear yourself flow and hear yourself say the argument, But be aware that there may be situations where you get asked a question that you never imagined could be brought up. And believe me, it's happened not only in Purcell, not only in my LP class, in the competition I went to where I had an actual real-life judge ask me a question that was so far-fetched from the fact pattern, we didn't even know where he was going. But you have to be able to answer those questions. So these are the ways to really get yourself prepared, and we really encourage you to moot as many times as you can and talk over your issue with as many people as possible, because this is how you become fully aware of what we're looking for, and this is how you do the best you can. Anyone have any questions? No one's thinking about how much time this is going to take. No one's worried about. Someone's got a question.
Regarding the timing, so
we'll answer it.
Yeah, we'll answer. Don't worry. So Jason and I, with Veronica's help, we're going to be in charge of slating you guys, which means we'll put you in for your oral arguments. You'll send us in your class schedules for the fall, and we're going to do our very best to make sure that you don't have to miss classes or anything like that. However, that being said, there are going to be some circumstances where we just cannot avoid it. And so we encourage you to go talk to your professors. Generally, 9 times out of 10, professors are very understanding. They all know it's Purcell. They're all going to be judging. So you will see, professors are either understanding or they're just going to say it's a class you're going to have to miss and you're going to have to make up. So be mindful that we are going to make, every attempt possible to make sure that you don't miss a class. Sometimes there is a conflict.
And that also goes into if you make it on a team and you need it and you're competing, we take into account what you have to do. So if you're going to be in a clinic next year, or if you have an externship, or if you have anything that, maybe you just have a family trip. These are things that we take into account. We're going to make sure that if you black out a date, we're not going to put you in a competition. And for example, this year I had a competition for DRT in January, and they made sure that the competition I went to wasn't until late March, so that not only did I have time to get to my competition and be in my competition, but I have time to prepare for my competition. And this is what we want most: is we want to send out competitors that are completely prepared and competitors that are going to bring the great understanding of moot court at New York Law School and show it to everyone else, because that's what we work hard to do, and that's what we're looking for other people to do as well.
Question.
Does everyone go to a competition?
Yes.
Yes. Everyone will go to a competition in the first year you make it, and then if you are a 1L and you make it on as a 2L, you will go. We have a competition at the school for just moot court in the fall, and then everyone will go to a competition in the spring. And then as 3L, you will also go to a competition. You may go to 2, you may go to 1, and then coach another one. Because we're completely student-run, our teams are comprised of not only competitors, but also coaches that are students. So sometimes, students may coach, but they also could compete. And we do our best to include faculty in that, but we also make sure that you compete. We like to put people who compete in an area that they're interested in. There's a competition for almost every field of law that there is, and if you are interested in, immigration law,
Bankruptcy,
corporate, we will try our best to put you in something that will not only help you, but something you're interested in as well.
Justin.
No, it's just going to ask.
Okay.
I don't know. So now the briefs that are being judged, those are judged based on, it's not like a separate brief competition, right? Or is it?
So no, the way the brief and the oral arguments score is it's 50-50 when you start off the oral arguments. 50% of your total score is your brief score, and the other 50% is your oral argument score. But as you proceed through the oral arguments rounds, your oral argument scores are going to account for more and more, while your brief score accounts for less and less. So if you end up in the finals, the way your score is tabulated is your brief score is, I think, 20%, whereas your oral argument score is 80%. And so it's a sliding scale.
So in the competition, you said you're going to argue for the petitioner and for the respondent. Is the brief written solely for one side?
Yes. So you and your partner, after Moot Camp 2, the fact pattern gets released. If you're at Moot Camp 2, you can pick up a hard copy, and you go meet your partner, and you can decide, do you want to be petitioner or do you want to be respondent? And you'll know, because the way the fact pattern is set up is you have a district court opinion. We have authors, the Frisell authors, who work all summer long with the executive editors to create the fact pattern. And when you receive this packet, it's going to be the facts, and then you're going to have a district court opinion going one way, probably for the petitioner, and then you have the Court of Appeals opinion going for the respondent. So you can read both opinions, and you can take a call as to which side you want to be, petitioner or respondent. If you decide you want to be petitioner, write for petitioner. It's a closed universe of cases, and you go ahead as P1 and P2, you and your partner, petitioner 1, petitioner 2. But during oral arguments, you must be prepared to also argue the other side, which is respondent 1 and respondent 2, and you have a starting block, because you have the district court opinion and the Court of Appeals to lend you guidance. So it's not like you're starting out of, a blank slate. You have cases that either support or detract from your position.
And to make it real easy, when you're doing your research, when you're reading one of the cases that you see, write down every fact or every argument that would be for or against. Because when you're doing that, even if you're only writing for petitioner, you may have a respondent argument that, boom, it's done. Now when you need to argue respondent, you have that argument already laid out. You don't have to go back, reread the case, see how it could help the respondent. So this is just an easy way to make sure that you have all sides covered from the very beginning and that you're not scrambling at the end.
I also recommend, in terms of preparation for moots, I know when I was 1L, and I remember a bunch of my moot court friends who were 2Ls, they sent me an email giving me a very, very basic general layout of the facts. And they said, can you set aside one evening, read the fact pattern ahead in advance, here's what a layman's opinion is, and just give me one evening where I can practice my 4 arguments in front of you. When I showed up in some classroom, there were 5 other people, all 1Ls, none of them had moot court experience. And the moot went off so well, because like Jason said, a simple question is, what do you mean by persecution? That to me was a very simple question, but that was the crux of their argument. And so we stood there for the longest time. And I know you guys are doing asylum cases, and that's the question. Yeah, there we go.
All right, well, if no one has any more questions, this ends the info session.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for coming.
Email us if you have any other questions.